In the Family Way is narrated by three different voices, all female. Lily Bird is the first one. She is a housewife. She married right after college. No, she married right after high school. She did not go to college. She is married to a nice Jewish doctor, and they have an almost 2-year-old little girl. And Lily is in the family way with her next one. She has another bun in the oven, which is how Lily would say it because she's very much a prude. And she's uncomfortable saying certain things like pregnant, which was true to the time period. So that's Lily Berg. And then her sister Rose is another narrator. Rose is Lily's younger sister. Unlike Lily, Rose did go to college. She now works as a teacher. She teaches second grade and absolutely loves her job. When the novel opens, she has been married a little over a year. And while she loves and adores her husband, married life is not at all what she anticipated. And then my third narrator is Betsy. She is 15 years old. She finds herself in the family way. She was living with her family in Kalamazoo, Michigan, when she discovers she's pregnant, and her mother rushes her out of town to Akron, Ohio, to a home for unwed mothers and tells Betsy that she is not to tell anybody where she's going other than she has a sick aunt that she needs to go help take care of. And this is the excuse she gives to her best friend as to why she's leaving high school in the middle of the year. So when she winds up at the home for unwed mothers, she discovers that the home is overflowing with girls who are in trouble. And so the home has reached out to the local community and asked residents if they would consider taking in a girl to help around the house, maybe help with babysitting, and they stay with that family until they get close to the time where their due date, when they're ready to deliver. And that's how Betsy winds up living with Lily Berg, her doctor husband, and their 2-year-old daughter. During that time period, when girls entered these homes for unwed mothers, they really were going in and they could not keep the children, the babies they had. That era is called the baby scoop era because literally they came in, they like took babies. And they were adopted by nice families. It was all, closed adoption. You didn't know anything about it. And I read a lot of nonfiction accounts of girls who were in that situation. And if they had a change of heart, if they were like, maybe I want to keep the baby. First of all, there was it was an embarrassment to your parents. And we just had the war, and you've got the middle class that's firmly established. The last thing these people new to the middle class want is a daughter who's going to bring this kind of scorn. Also, there's the money issue. They use that against these girls. How are you going to support this baby? You couldn't go to school when you were pregnant, so you don't have an education, you don't have a job. How are you going to pay back the maternity home for the cost of your living there, which would have been picked up in other ways? Sometimes it's charity, sometimes it's parents, but there were so many obstacles and barriers so the choice of keeping a baby was really not a choice. And it's very interesting that today, when you talk about abortion in particular, you often it's viewed as a selfish thing that you're doing because you don't want to have a baby for whatever reason, fill in the blank. Back then, it was exactly the opposite. If you were a young girl, unmarried, and you wanted to keep the baby, that was the selfish thing to do. Because what kind of a life are you going to provide for this bastard child? And there's going to be scorn in society, and you won't have money to take care of it. So it's very, very different than it was. Lily is very prim and proper and won't even say the word pregnant or pregnancy. This is her mother died of breast cancer, but she would never say that. She would say she had, woman cancer or something. Um, and she, when Betsy comes into their home, Betsy's very naive. She's not even quite sure how she got pregnant. She didn't have sex education in school. This wasn't really a boyfriend. It's something that sort of just happened. And she asks Lily about some of these things, like why is this happening? Or how is this happening? And Lily is forced to either remain who she is and how she is, or to look at this girl who she gets to know more and more, who has come into her home, that she just assumed would be an extra set of hands, but somehow she starts a little bit at a time to open her heart to her and has to come to grips with, if this was my daughter, how would I want someone to talk to her? So as Lily begins to blossom and grow, so does Betsy. Then there's the notion that, Betsy's away from home. Betsy doesn't have any friends. Betsy gets to know the Canasta women because they live in the neighborhood. And when Christmas is coming, she remembers she's 15 and her mother sends her maternity underwear because her old underpants don't fit her anymore. And this is when Lily says, maybe everybody could look around their home and see if there's something that maybe you want to give. It's an evolution. And while that evolution is taking place just based on relationships, Betty Friedan's book, The Feminine Mystique, has recently published. And that's like almost contraband. And this housewife reads it and starts to feel a little like, yeah, is this all? Is this it? I cooking and cleaning and raising this is it, huh? And then she shares the book with others and they talk about it. So they too have an opportunity to grow and to change and to reflect and to question. And to me, that's the most interesting part about when you write a book, that your character can start here and how are you going to get them there? Because it's not interesting if they don't change. It's not interesting if they don't grow, or how they're going to be surprised and how I'm going to be surprised by what happens.